Alright, match number 3. On the play. Alright, we can go turn 1 preordain if we want to play the island first. And then try to set up a turn 3 Chittering Rats by finding another untapped land by turn 3. Or we could skip the preordain and try to set up turn 2 Counterspell by playing the tap land first. I'm going to keep this hand, and I think I'm probably going to go with the tap land turn 1. Gitaxian Probe. Okay. Could be playing against Izzet Blitz, potentially. Gitaxian Probe was recently banned in Modern. Despite its power level there, it doesn't see that much play in Pauper. Okay, so our opponent knows these 6 cards in our hand, so they know about the counterspells. It could be correct just to play the island and hold up counterspell anyway. However, because we drew a Disfigure, I think I'm going to go preordain, hold up and Disfigure, since that can kill a Kiln Field. And I'll keep the second Swamp for sure, because I want to play Chittering Rats next turn, potentially. And I might as well keep the island as well, I believe. Be able to play this Archaeomancer sooner than later. It would also be nice to have more removal, if this is the Izzet Blitz deck, but... Alright, there's a Delver of Secrets. Alright, we'll just go ahead and pick that off now, before it potentially becomes a 3-2. And now we can play Chittering Rats or hold up and Counterspell. If we play Chittering Rats and our opponent plays a Kiln Fiend, we could be in a lot of trouble next turn, potentially even dying on the next turn. Since with a Temur Battle Rage, they can definitely attack for 20. So I think I'm just simply going to pass the turn here. Brainstorm. Since the only things that matter from Izzet Blitz are their creatures, I don't think I'm going to counter anything else. Any of their card draw they can have. Because all their card draw spells like Preordain, Brainstorm, Ponder, they only draw 1-for-1 Gitaxian Probe, so they're not getting ahead by casting them. Alright, there's a Ponder, we'll let that resolve as well. I could just counterspell it, just because it helps them find more creatures, which are really the only thing that matter in this matchup. But I think I need to save my counterspells for things that are more important. Alright, and they pass with a Mountain Up. So here I'm just going to run back the same plan, play my tap land, hold up and counterspell. And then potentially have the option of Archaeomancer into holding open Disfigure. Preordain goes bottom and top. And there's Delver of Secrets. Not as scary as a Kiln Fiend, but I think I'm going to counterspell it anyway. If they still had available mana to cast a Kiln Fiend as well this turn, I would probably save my counterspell and just let them have the Delver. But with only 1 red mana available, they can't cast any of their creatures. Alright, and here I get to go Chittering Rats counterspell. I could also play Muldrifter, which would be fine. But I just want to keep on holding the counterspell as long as possible. The longer I can delay their creatures coming down, the better. And if I just hit an untapped land naturally on my next turn, that would be very lucky for me, because then I can go Archaeomancer or Counterspell. Not going to save the Chittering Rats. Alright, they just passed the turn. Dimir Aqueduct. So I think this is the turn that I'm going to let them resolve creatures. It's just too inefficient to not cast Muldrifter here and pass the turn with the counterspell up that they know about. Alright, pick up a Swamp. And they pass the turn again without casting any creatures. That's pretty good for us. I'll start by attacking for 2. And I'm going to go get myself a Chittering Rats. Set them back a draw step. Then I can Archaeomancer. Go get a... I can get a Disfigure, but I was going to get a Counterspell. And we have basically the hard block of 5 power on the board and 3 counterspells in hand. And even if they manage to resolve a creature by casting multiple and me only being able to counterspell one, we have a removal spell that can take out a Kiln Fiend or a Delver. Alright, now we get to sideboard. So they're going to have Pyroblast they get to bring in, and we get to bring in Hydroblast. Nausea only kills unflipped Delver, so it's not good enough. Relic of Progenitus, I don't think does anything at all. Well, that's not true. Actually, there's Artful Dodge, which is target creature can't be blocked this turn, which is blue and has flashback for blue. But even that, I'm not sure is played in all versions. Stormbound Geist can only block Delver, too slow against them. Dispel can be very good, such as countering Temur Battle Rage, a Brainstorm, maybe if they have an Evolving Wilds I'm scared of, or even their Pyroblast. It could act like a 5th Hydroblast, potentially. Deep Analysis is probably too slow. So against them, we're not going to need the Reaping the Graves. If we can just remove their creatures and survive, we'll win. Unearth could be somewhat bad. They don't have to remove these creatures to win. They can attack for 20 with Trample or remove these creatures in one turn and win that same turn, so Unearth might not get any value. And I need 3 more cuts. I think I'm going to go with the Chittering Rats. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to go with Ghostly Flickers, 2 of them, and 1 Chittering Rat. Chittering Rat is slower than Seagate Oracle, because sometimes their hand will be empty and this is harder to cast. And Seagate Oracle helps draw me toward my very powerful sideboard cards. Even with the Ghostly Flicker out, I want to keep in the Archaeomancers for value, I believe. And I'll submit like this. Alright, opponent mulliganed. We're going to keep this hand. It's a little bit risky because these Hydroblasts only work against Kiln Fiend and Nivix Cyclops, which are red. Delver of Secrets is not red, so if they open with Delver into Delver and they both flip right away, then we could be in a lot of hurt. But we could always evoke this Mulldrifter to find removal if we need to. So we'll keep. Our opponent scryed their card to the top. I could lead with Island so I could cycle this or play Dispel. They're not likely to play an instant though, they're most likely to play a creature. And save their Brainstorms for after they resolve a Kiln Fiend or Nivix Cyclops. And if they tap out for a Kiln Fiend, I can just Hydroblast on my turn, so it's not that bad to play tap land here, which I think I'm going to do. Alright, tap land, that means we don't have to worry about Kiln Fiend, and they don't play Delver either. I wonder what they scried to the top if they aren't able to resolve a turn 1 or turn 2 Kiln Fiend or Delver of Secrets. Maybe they were land light and they needed it. So, judging by the composition of this hand with this 4-drop and this hopefully 5-drop, hopefully I won't have to evoke it in hand, I don't think I'm going to be cycling this Lonely Sandbar, so I think I'm just going to play it tapped, since I shouldn't need Hydroblast and Dispel this turn. I mean, it could be nice if they go Nivix Cyclops plus Pyroblast to counter my Hydroblast, but that's a very specific combination of cards, and that Pyroblast is going to get value eventually anyway, and I can always just untap and do the other Hydroblast. Evolving Wilds, and they immediately sacrifice it, so they probably don't have a Brainstorm in hand. I don't think there's a difference between countering this on the stack and destroying it once it resolves. If they had mana open, then obviously Apostle's Blessing, or could I think just Apostle's Blessing could blow us out. Alright, and our Hydroblast resolves. Not evoking this Mulldrifter, so I will play my tap land and pass with Hydroblast to spell open. And then I can go turn 4 Archaeomancer, get back a Hydroblast, which is great, into turn 5 Mulldrifter. Alrighty. Try this Hydroblast again, and it works. I wish our opponent did have a Pyroblast there so we could use this Dispel to good value. Alright, we'll just ignore the Aqueduct for now. We can use that to pick up our Lonely Sandbar later, perhaps. Turn 2 Hydro, turn 3 Hydro, turn 4 Archaeomancer, get back Hydro is pretty good against this deck. Now they need to resolve a creature, have an Apostle's Blessing, and either another Apostle's Blessing or like a Pyroblast for the Dispel to be able to keep that Nivix Cyclops on the table. It looks like they only have 1 mana available, so that's not going to matter. I'm not going to play around here and try to resolve this Mulldrifter this turn. That's just too dangerous. You never leave a creature on the table. You can leave a Delver on the table. You never leave a Kiln Field or a Nivix Cyclops on the table if you can help it. Because this deck can kill you in one turn with a good draw. Alright, so we got rid of the Apostle's Blessing. I'm going to go ahead and cycle this Lonely Sandbar. And I'm going to do it main phase in case I draw a Preordain and I want to cast it. And I did draw a Preordain. Let's see what we can find. Another Preordain and an Echoing Decay. So next turn I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Which means the Preordain could be better than just scrying it to the bottom. Because I could afford to have that extra mana to do the Scry 2 draw card. And have some card filtering and then just cast Muldrifter if I don't find anything good. I also have no removal, so the Echoing Decay could be good. I think I'll go ahead and put both on top. Echoing Decay doesn't remove Cyclops, but it does remove their other 2 creatures. I'm not exactly sure what their sideboard is. Some could sideboard into like a Stormbound Geist or something that is more resilient to removal. But luckily they just passed the turn here. Stormbound Geist would be annoying to try to beat. I'm going to go Preordain into Muldrifter most likely and just look for removal. Okay, awesome. Muldrifter, Chainer's Edict. I'll take both of those. And if this Muldrifter gets Pyreblasted, then I just have another one on the following turn. Plus one of these spells, because I'll have 7 mana. So even the ultimate blowout here of getting destroyed by Pyroblast isn't a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. I don't know that it's going to be a big enough deal for us to lose the game. Since they're only drawing to 3 cards in hand, I'm drawing to 4 cards in hand, and one of them is a Muldrifter. Okay. I'm just going to go for it here. And if they have another Pyroblast, then it's definitely going to buy them a lot of time. Hopefully they do not. Okay, it resolves. And I draw more card draw and more removal. This is exactly the type of deck that you want to face when you're playing Dimir Handlock. A deck that is resilient, that is reliant, not resilient, reliant on its creatures and is not resilient to getting them removed, because you have a lot of removal and you can definitely remove creatures. Muldrifter or Chainer's Edict. Okay. Living the dream here, drawing back up to 5 cards in hand. And we win the match. Well, it definitely seemed like our opponent drew pretty poorly, so it's not as one-sided of a matchup as it might seem, just from that sample size of 1. However, I do think Dimir control is favored in general, and Handlock falls into that category and is favored against them as well. Other aggressive creature decks, such as elves or tokens, can give more of a run for your money, because you can't use your individual removal spells to kill all their creatures and keep up. You have to have good blockers stick around or get lucky with drawing like an Echoing Decay or something, or just have a lot of card draw so your removal can keep up with the plethora of creatures. But Izzet Blitz doesn't have that many creatures in their deck. They generally just have the 12 for each of Delver, Kiln Field, Cyclops. And we definitely have more than 12 removal and counter spells combined. Alright, on to the next match.